as recorded by Professor Evgenya Sokolova. She will present Artificial Intelligence in Diabetes Care 2022-2024 update.
Dear esteemed colleagues, dear friends, with a heavy heart, I would like to express my sincere apologies for not being able to join you on site this year at AASD International Conference. Unfortunately, I encountered unforeseen issues with material documents that have prevented my attendance. I'm truly disappointed to miss the opportunity to engage with all of you in person, share insights, and participate in the invaluable discussions that this conference always promises. Dear Professor Ines, dear organizing committee, your contribution to our field are inspiring, and I look forward to hearing about the remarkable advancements and ideas that emerge from this year's conference. While I may not be able there physically, I am eager to stay connected and engaged through virtual means. So for the next 15 minutes, we'll discuss artificial intelligence topic in diabetology with emphasis on 2024 update information. So if you have any questions or comments which you want to share with me, please don't hesitate and write me on my email, which is written here. I will be more than happy to answer all your comments through emails. So let's start with some few words about technologies in diabetes care. Of course, all technologies which we are using there are novel opportunities for managing people with diabetes more effectively. And it's a story about diabetes as a complex disease. And of course, we need to use technology for track and analyze patients' data, contributing significantly to more personalized and effective diabetes care. If we are talking about artificial intelligence in healthcare, for sure it's a story about data-driven insights, enhanced accuracy, and personalized medicine, which workflow automation. As you know, definition of artificial intelligence is quite complex, but it's a broad term defined as the theory and development of virtual systems which are able to perform tasks normally by utilizing human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision-making, and translation between languages. And machine learning is a subset of AI that provides systems the ability to automatically learn and improve from experience without being explicitly programmed. For sure, artificial intelligence aims to accurately make advanced inferences on a large amount of data. And all of us know that artificial intelligence has already revolutionized various fields in medicine and research through all of these technologies: machine learning, NLP, automation and robotics, and machine vision. How does neurons connection works? All of you know very well. And if you just go through technical things, you can find it here on the slide. And if you just trying to imagine how networks work is a story about input layer, something which is going through it, hidden layer, and some information which we can use at output layer. A small illustration here, which of course we can find a doc as output. How you can represent this flow in medicine? Of course, we can use text data, image or video data, biometric data as input information. We have some stories on analysis through rule-based machine learning, which can be supervised or unsupervised, or reinforcement learning, and deep learning here as a type of machine learning with multi-layer neural network and dramatic usage in image analysis. And after that, we'll have output in, for example, classification, like we see before as CAT-ODOC, in medical diagnosis, risk stratification. We can have information of prediction with trends, for example, in something, prediction of disease onset, in generation with image painting, character, image finding of rare disease or common disease, and something about feedback control. Of course, end users here can be a healthcare professional, as all of us, patients with diabetes or other diseases, clinics, scientific research institutes, and all diabetes care system. For the next minutes, we will discuss the latest advancements and their impact on diabetes management, focusing on the year 2024 and beyond. We will delve into various applications of AI in this field, with some words on CGM and personalized treatment plans, and we discuss ways for improved outcomes in patient care with the help of AI. If we try to look on this schematically, of course, it's a story about people with diabetes and their families and relatives, and about healthcare professional and integrated healthcare system with all artificial subsets, intelligent subsets as machine learning and even deep machine learning. Of course, diabetology is highly suitable for exploring this technology because it's not only a story about one organ, it's a story about system and hormone and all these biomolecules working in different ways with feedback mechanism. Proper endocrine metabolic regulation are present in circadian rhythms. It's also very complex information to analyze. These complex and connected systems are often beyond the comprehension and reasonable capabilities of the human brain. So AI will be exceptionally well suited to tackle everything in diabetology with this remarkable heterogeneity and complexity. And for sure, also we need to remember that diabetes management, it's not only a complex thing, but it also requires lifestyle changes from our patients and sometimes from healthcare providers. And it's a story about data overload. So we need to use artificial intelligence here in a schematic way. Of course, all that we have in genomics labs, imaging, medical recordings, medical devices, insulin pump, continuous glucose monitoring system, and so on and so forth, healthcare utilization, mobile apps and sensors, social determinants of health, geospatial data, environmental exposures, dietary intake, physical activity, all of these data we can use for our patients through AI technologies for screening and prevention, diagnosis and prognosis, and of course for treatment and management. Let's start our conversation about this year publication on large language models. And of course, as you know, always we can use it AI chatbots for working with patient queries and personalized responses. What is this? As generative artificial intelligence that can accept image and text inputs and produce text outputs, have shown promise with various aspects of medical care, are designed to recognize and understand the structure and meaning of human language, classify text according to their content and purpose, and generate responses that are appropriate and coherent. But general purpose LLMs like GPT-4, for example, have shown significant potential, but their performance in medical fields, especially in diabetes care, is questionable, which is due to their insufficient training dataset or medical specialties. Nevertheless, there are a lot of potential application for these models in diabetes care for patients with diabetes through personalized health coaching, nutritional guidance, blood glucose monitoring system, medical adherence support, complication monitoring, mental health support, and for clinicians, especially with emphasis on primary care specialists, and also for streaming clinical tasks. There are still some challenges here with limited specialization, limited recency, potential hallucinations, limited personalization, ethical and legal consideration, and of course, privacy and security concerns. But I want to tell you here that it's only the story for future directions and efforts, because of course we know what we can do here. We can develop transparent data sets, constructed ethical and legal frameworks, implement all these randomized controlled trials in AI fields, also integrate into existing healthcare system all this information we can use now and integrate it with other digital technologies. Here, I just want to show that for sure, even for now, we all of us have some mitigation strategies for use AI technologies and LLMs in a better way. And as example, I just want to show you just one publication. It's about GPT-powered chatbot for educate medical students, and for sure we can do a lot of things here in diabetes care, which great user experience, some problems with errors, but suitable ones, and onboarding and other really good way of understanding and working. So of course, large language models also very useful in diabetes recommendation and reporting. For example, in appointment scheduling, medical record keeping, and report generation. Another story after LLM, it's a story about imaging. And as we discussed the previous year conference, here we can use a lot of images on diabetic complication, mostly in the diabetic retinopathy, with data acquisition and working with AI models with some limitations, but for sure the main problem here is a small amount of data, sometimes misclassification and poor data quality. And I want to stress here that, of course, if you want to use something about images in AI sphere, you need to remember that that very easy understandable sentence, trash in, trash out, can explain why sometimes we can have so unpleasant situation with publications and result in the AI world. Please try to remember about possibilities of high quality images for using artificial intelligence systems. And fortunately, we have a lot of example when patient journey according to iScreen system has AI technologies inside. For example, this publication from Diagnostics this year about mobile applications for taking retinographies. And after that, analyzing of clinical data through ARS and DRPA. After that, results, which can be downloaded in divided in two flows, with low-risk patients and high-risk, and only high-risk patients after these retinographies with AI assistant will go to ophthalmologist or special care specialist. So the story of this year is the story that we have a lot of data for now for all over the world. As example here, Germany, Rwanda, Australia, Philippines, Italy, in Brazil, with a lot of AI system, not only one or even couple. So the program here is huge. And another example, it's an example of publication or of possibility to find some correlation between diabetic retinopathy images and cardiac autonomic retinopathy neuropathy from the patients with very good results and sensitivity, specificity, and ROIC. So you can try to understand that there are so many information which you can find in our patients' images. Another story is the story about oculomics, as we can define in invasive biomarkers for early detection of systematic disease from ocular image. And I would like to cite here Santosh Honavar, the editor of Intel, Journal of Ophthalmology, who said that if they are talking the eye is lamp of the body, then artificial intelligence is the weak, routine images is the oil that feeds it, and oculomics is the light of the lamp, of course. And as an illustration of this point, I would like to share the publication from Lancet Digital Health, the story about deep learning model for novel systematic biomarkers, which can use external photos of the eye of the patient with trying possibility to find some interaction which we can use to screen for some systemic diseases, and diabetes is one of the list of metabolic diseases here. So the good example of good publication in very interesting field of artificial intelligence. So the key points here for diabetes retinopathy and images, we can say that artificial intelligence is expected to play an increasingly important role. And of course, detection have shown high accuracy, and not only in research, but also for now in real world settings. Of course, emerging areas of artificial intelligence, and here foundation model, generator artificial intelligence, and oculomics, which we discussed before, present promises opportunities for advance in diabetic retinopathy screening, prediction, and also for personalized treatment strategies. we need for now to remember about necessity of successful integration of AI into clinical practice. And of course, it's a way for educate healthcare professionals all over the world about it. Another story of this year is decision support systems and digital biomarkers. And here it's a story again about opportunities, challenges, and future directions. And of course, we need to remember that decision support system can play a huge role in working with patients with diabetes. Why? Because still it's a complex monitoring requirements for our patients. There are a lot of new treatments every year, high patients volumes, multiple treatment targets, changing guidelines, and all of us knowing it, short appointment times, evolving evidence base, limited preventive care, limited specialist access, especially for some countries, for example, my country, limited population intelligence, and multiple data silos. How does it work? In the way we described before, with some data sources as input, for example, CGM, SMBG, insulin pump information, smart insulin pen information, manual inputs. It's also possible activity tracker with some raw data. After that, something inside the algorithmic models. As an output, so here we can find continuous blood glucose level predictions, for example, postprandial hypoglycemia prediction, nocturnal hypoglycemia prediction, and so forth and so forth. And of course, it's a story about the future for patients with type 1 diabetes, and even about the present, because for now we use some decision support system for patients with type 1 diabetes, which could result even in time and range for the patients. So we have some predictive analytics here, as I told you before, with risk assessment, treatment optimization, and hypoglycemia prediction. A lot of stories this year and years ago about AI-powered continuous glucose monitoring with improving sensor technology, data transmission, analysis of data for prediction, and better ways to alert the patient. If we will try to talk about digital biomarkers, here we still have a lot of possibilities, but also barriers in terms of technological integration, development, resource costs, critical workflow integration, some regulatory concerns. But it is a story for future years, for sure. But a lot of data we have here even for now. And the good story for me, it's a story that this year there are some publications on not only about usual sensor used in the AI models, but also some unusual like ECG, PPG, ACC, EDA, SKT. So with some different models of AI, we can use a lot of them here. I have different results in different fields. Interesting story about microbiota and possibilities to choose information here, which is very important for our patients. As an example, one publication of this year about type 1 diabetes patients with the result about association for uncontrolled diabetes with altered microbiota, metabolite, and lipidomic signature or functions. And this year, there are a lot of interesting publication. As an example, I would like to show the story about placenta characteristic from ultrasound as a marker on early pregnancy for possibilities to have gestational diabetes in future, with a good example. We're waiting the result of further research in this field, because it could help us to find the patients from the group risk more precisely. And of course, it's also a story about limitations, not only as human factors, not only about limitation design or technical issue, but also about data limitation. And I would like to show you some story about ethical consideration in AI-driven diabetology. Of course, it's a story about necessity to protect patients' data. It's a story about algorithmic bias and necessity of human-centered approach. Also, as clinicians, of course, we need to remember about some things. If we are trying to use generative AI or other AI in our worlds, of course, we need to remember about necessity to protect and evaluate evaluation of algorithms, and we need to work together with AI developers, and we need to help to improve all technologies for better lives of our patients. And this year, main information is still the story about necessity to form some sort of ecosystem formation with AI assisted in the center, because we can use it not only for patients with diabetes, but also for patients without diabetes, for prediction, screening, diagnosis, of course, for more efficient visits and personalization, even for teleconsultation. And it's a story for better management, easy access, and better communication between patients and healthcare professionals. In the end, I just want to add that, of course, not only in diabetes care, we can use AI technologies, a lot of data for the future research in malignancies in endocrinology, about some facial recognition for diagnosis, about automated early detection all over endocrinology diseases. So looking forward to all results here. And as a future trends, just want to show you the story about immersive technologies, Internet of Medical Things, and IE development. So for now, this year, artificial in diabetes care is potential in improving care in all new areas, increases therapies and diagnostic successes, leads to shorter decision time for healthcare professionals and for patients with diabetes. I think it's very important. Standardized decision pathways through large language models, increase personalization, and gives possibilities for research and debates. So for me, it's crucial that artificial intelligence is one more member for better diabetes care, and only together we can achieve more, as you remember. So let's do it together for better control of diabetes for our patients. And if you're interested in this topic, please join the community of investigators and ITMO University, because we are working a lot in artificial intelligence field. You can find all information here. And please do not hesitate to reach out if you would like to discuss any topics in this field or collaborations. I wish all of you a fruitful and stimulating conference experience. Thank you for your attention.
So when we started this conference, we thought we had a lot of time for discussion because we didn't know up to that moment that we had the recording. Now we are running late on time, but we'll have 5 minutes for discussion, I think, if you all agree. And so I don't know if there are people in the audience that want to make some questions, and please go to the mic. In between, perhaps we can just start some questions. And I'll start with one question for each one of you, and then George and Mohammed. So, Andrew, when we start, I think you spoke about really the role of education provided as an example by the pharmacy, but it could be anyone in the process. It just comes that it was the easiest part there to involve in the process. I have one question about those weekly visits, because I really was concerned about the cost of those weekly visits, even if they were virtual. And do weekly visits promote autonomy from the patient? Because it's really kind of, it seems a paternalistic approach. Come to me, I'll teach and support your decision. Are we promoting autonomy? What do you think about that? And one small question on CGM. Why not using the CGM at the start of the diagnosis, in any case of type 2 diabetes, and help people to use that information to change at that moment and not keep it to a later stage?
So real quick, hello? Yes? No? Maybe I turned it off, sorry. Thank you very much, Professor. So the first question regarding education is a very good question. And in fact, when we talked to Dr. Beck about doing the clinical trial, that was discussed. You know, do you have to have weekly or can it be bi-weekly? And I think we're going to do bi-weekly. Now, this is not really a visit. This is basically the pharmacist looking at the data from the CGM and sending a message, text message or email message, hey, your blood sugars look good, maybe go up on a little insulin or watch this. So it's not a visit, it's a check-in. But you're absolutely right. Is weekly too much? We are going to go to bi-weekly and then we'll see if that is good. It's a very good question. The second question, again, yes, you know, the people at Abbott and Dexcom would love you, of course, very much. But this, of course, what we do, we let every resident in our university have a CGM. They get mandated. And it's amazing. I think some of the professors on the panel have worn this and have seen the dietary changes when they're eating some high carbohydrate food. Oh boy, it goes way up. And I think that is why the FDA actually pushed Abbott to make this diagnosis monitor over the counter. So anyone in America can now buy this and use it for the prevention. It's a very good question, stimulating some, hopefully, studies in the future.
Thank you for that. And just a question for Tatiana. And it's about, again, the perceived value of obesity versus diabetes and other health issues. When we have in our recommendations, say, a weight loss of 3 to 7% is quite good considering health. But actually, when people are trying to lose weight, if you just tell them that 3 to 7% is fantastic, they don't want that. If I'm going to involve myself in the process of losing weight, I want more than that. And that's why I think we have two different opinions or two different worlds. It's the world of the patients, of people living with obesity. They just want to, if I'm going to lose weight, I really need to lose weight, and that's not 3 to 7%. And then on the other side, we have our perspective, say, no, 3 to 7% is quite good. So actually, we don't communicate our objectives and goals. No. And are we going to consider the treatment of obesity is just a lifelong condition and we'll use those medications for the rest of our life, starting in early childhood and up to getting old and die, always doing injections and everything?
Yes, it is my concern as well. It's excellent question. Regarding the first one, of course that everybody wants to lose more weight, but I think so that it is very difficult to start losing weight. And this, how can I see to these things, this medication can really help you to start losing weight, because it must come together with the changes in the diet, with physical activity, in everything. Because of course the pharma industry is saying this is a long time condition, obesity, and we should recommend the treatment, I mean, with the decades, which for me is quite unrealistic. It should be at the beginning just to start, and maybe important the first 5 years, not to lose weight, but to maintain that weight, because the body tends to return to the previous, to the start point, and that's why it's very important to maintain that weight that you lose for at least 5 years, to be on a safe side that maybe it will then last longer. So, but the new drugs, they have a huge potential. So it's near to bariatric surgery. More than 25% of initial body weight is really amazing. I don't know if it will works like the first trials that showing us, but I really do believe that that will be just a start point. And metabolically speaking, really up to 10% of initial body weight means a lot for the prevention of the disease and cardiometabolic and diabetes and everything. And the people want more because of other aspects, and we should help them that too also.
Any other comments from the panel? Do we have a question? Yes, please, go ahead.
Just Tanya, the potential for sorting out obesity is actually very near now with these drugs coming out, but obviously we'll be relying on drugs, and it's the unmet need, which is people without diabetes. And so some of the problems is that the drugs will run out because there'll be so much demand. So what's the way we can secure these effective drugs for our patients. So they are not running out of the clinics or hospitals because the whole world is using them.
Yes, you're so right, because the drugs are using not just obese people nowadays, but also people who wants to, I mean, who do not have actual problem with obesity, but they would like to be even thinner than they are. So that's why it's the shortage of medication worldwide. So I think so that we cannot stop that, but we should put a real accent on plus things, not just drugs. Not just drugs. They have to change their something about their lifestyle and physical activity to maintain the weight that they will lose, because it cannot be solution, especially for young people and for kids, for their whole life. So in that way it will be up and down, which is even worse. I mean, when you have ups and downs in your body weight whole life, you have even higher risk for cardiovascular diseases. So that's why I think so that we cannot rely just on drugs in the future, but we can help patients to get there, and we cannot stop those who are taking these drugs. I don't know, maybe regulation, but I cannot see in near future then anybody will stop people to buy these drugs by their own without consultation with the doctor, which I think that this is really wrong, because I didn't show here because of the time. There is a lot of also adverse events out of the drugs. They are not so, I mean, for everybody, and not so free of side effects. So we have to be very cautious regarding the durability, because we also don't have experience what will be after 10 years when somebody will take these drugs. Maybe it will be some other side effects that we are not aware yet at this moment. So I think so that we should be very cautious on this, especially on durability.
So on this word of caution, I think we should stop this wonderful panel and go ahead with the next session for the sake of time.